Hello, everybody. My name is Manobina Chakraborty, founder I for Inclusion. I welcome all of you to the 35th episode of Let's Talk Inclusion. Friends, we will discuss about some challenges of inclusive education today and also try to identify a few solutions. Those of you watching us from India, you might know that in the last week of October this year, the Supreme Court informed all state governments to fill up vacancy of special teachers and rehabilitation professionals in schools for children with special needs within 6 months. Further, the Supreme Court directed the central government to draft norms, including people teacher ratio, in such schools or institutions admitting children with special needs. I have with me today two well known inclusive education leaders from India. They are Mrs. Vijaya Vaithilingam and Mrs. Kavita Sharma. Good evening. I welcome both of you to the 35th episode of Let's Talk Inclusion. Mrs. Vaithilingam has been associated with the field of education for the last 40 years. She initiated a one-of-a-kind inclusive education program within the campus of a mainstream school in Navi, Mumbai, in about 25 years ago. The program is still running very successfully. Mrs. Kavita Sharma is an educator and an activist advocate with more than 2.5 decades of experience in dealing with persons with special needs. She's a professional as well as a mother. We will learn more about the lives and work of our experts during the discussion today. Welcome to both of you, madams. I think Vijaya ma'am, there is something, some connection issues, I think. Oh, she's back. Welcome to Let's Talk Inclusion, Vijaya ma'am and Kavita ji. So I think there was some connectivity issue, but now it's fine.
Yes, now it's okay.
Vijaya ma'am,
Yes.
since you have been associated with a reputed mainstream school for the last 40 years, what kind of challenges do you think schools face in accepting and implementing inclusive education? I mean, what challenges have you faced in your career and how did you find solutions?
Okay.
Vijaya ma'am.
Good evening, Manobina. Thank you, I for Inclusion, for another opportunity to talk to all of you. And Manobina's question about challenges first makes me think, what exactly is a challenge? A challenge is something that presents a test before one's ability. So, as far as inclusive education is concerned, because it is a movement and it is an ongoing process, it is challenging all of us educators who are trying to bring a change in the system, which is not a small change. So, challenges are there. But before talking of challenges, I would like to say a few positive things also, because I have seen this scene for the last more than 25 years, especially in the field of inclusive education. And I find that the term inclusive education is now more known to more people. The meaning of inclusive education is known to more people in the field of education and also in the society. And with Sarva Siksha Abhiyan in place, the intentions to implement changes are seen here and there. And there are places where institutions, where people have even found ways and they are creating ways to march towards an inclusive setup. So I won't say that everything is negative. Things are changing, But then we have to accept the reality that things are still in a very sporadic form. It's not happening very systematically yet. Now, when you talk of implementation, I'm somebody who believes that inclusive education is a journey from attitudes to achievements. So the beginning is the attitudes. So my first point will be about the attitudinal challenges in inclusive education. Even today, a large number of mainstream educators, planners, managers, and even teachers continue to be oblivious or indifferent to the basic intrinsic importance of inclusive education. Many of them are still on that sympathy mode. But sympathy is not what is expected. And we are not doing any big favor by making inclusive setups, because it is our duty to do that if we are responsible citizens of this country. Children have the right to get that kind of education. And if we want to create a beautiful world and an inclusive world for our children, we have to work for it. We are not doing them any favor. Secondly, inclusive education is still understood very differently by the practitioners, by the parents, and all the stakeholders. You go to the mainstream school, they will say, yeah, I believe in inclusive education, but I will not take full commitment for that. You go to the special school, they say, oh, we know how to handle these children, so we will not let go. You go to the others in the society, they will say, हाँ ठीक है, but how practical? Education system will not allow you to do this, because ultimately it is the board exam and the admissions and the college admissions after that. So the way we look at inclusive education is so different. So naturally the implementation process and the quality of the entire process suffers. The next thing is social stigmas, lack of awareness about how many options are available for them, a fear of an uncertain future, and also the inability to accept that their child is having a difficulty affects the attitude of parents. Over here, I want to say that it is a very, very natural thing. It is not easy for any parent to accept that their child is different. And so, as educators, we have only one way. If we are sure and we are convinced that the child has got a need for a special attention, then we have to very patiently, continuously, and persistently talk to the parents and make them accept, help them to accept. It is not that we say and they have to obey. No, parents cannot accept very easily. So we as educators need to understand that we have to be very patient, very persistent. I know of one case where from senior KG to standard 9, I have been talking to that mother, and the mother didn't accept till the child came to the 10th to the board exam level. Till then, there was no acceptance. But when she came to the 10th, she accepted. And see, this will be everywhere, because even when I talk to other principals, the other day also I was asking, what is your take on inclusive education? Her reply was, first of all, I don't have the finances to get all the resources. Secondly, it is very difficult to handle those parents. I mean, that was the reply. Okay, and then I say that attitudes, even among children, when the children are very small, they are naturally inclusive. They don't know the meaning of exclusion. But as they grow up into adults, what they see in the adults is what they emulate. what the peer pressures that come to them, and also the societal pressures that come to them, everything affects children. So even when the children go up to the 9th standard, 8th standard, even 7th, the same classmates who were with them in the primary and they were very good friends don't become that good friends when they grow up. It could even be because of their own what you call preoccupation with their own successes in the board exam or other things. But I'm noticing that happening, and every time I think if we notice, it is our duty to address that and teach our children values of empathy and compassion. Without that, it will not work. So inclusive education, the center, the soul of inclusive education is empathy. So if we want it to work, we have to make that happen. And as a solution, I can only offer advocacy, I can only offer communication and training for the people who are working. These are the 3 things that we have to persistently and consistently do if we want inclusive education to overcome the barrier of attitudes. The second yes, Manobina, you were asking something? Attitude of the second barrier that I come across is the large numbers in the classroom. You know, when there are large number of children in the classroom, the school wonders how can we have children with special needs also in the classroom. Firstly, inclusion is not only about children with special needs. It is about everybody. All kinds of anything that excludes anybody is bad. So if we want an inclusive setup, it has to be everyone. And it is not practical to just tell a school that you have to reduce your numbers. It is not possible. How can I overnight reduce my numbers? Whom will I throw out? So even the reduction in numbers takes time to happen. And how much can you reduce? But over the years, I have learned that we should not be grumbling about numbers. Because even if there are numbers, building on what you already have, building on existing practices, you can make your classroom inclusive. Good teaching practices, innovative teaching strategies, using the universal design for learning, and using the right kind of teaching aids, using technology, we can always make the classroom fit for all kinds of children. So for that, the numbers should not be a problem. But yes, I agree that in a class of 60, you can't have too many children. So if every school is adopting inclusive education and every school is able to help a few children, I am sure the problem will get reduced. It is a question of all of us trying to do the little that we can. And because we can't do big things, don't stop trying small things. Because the small things are the ones that lead to the big successes. So here, the administrative leadership, I spoke about this last time also. Every person who is a leader of his or her team in the school needs to work on this making the existing practices inclusive. And if we all work together and use the human resources and the technological support that we have, and you emphasize on good teaching and learning practices, we can definitely achieve some amount of success. I'm not saying 100%. You start with 20%, you move on to 40, 60, 80, and 100. But don't stop doing the 20% also. And according to the kind of students that you have in the class, sometimes you need to make ad hoc changes. There are many people who say that ad hoc changes is not inclusive. education. No, it starts with ad hoc changes. If I make an ad hoc change and I become successful in that, then that ad hoc change gets absorbed into the whole system slowly. And the next one is lack of resources to meet diverse needs. If you talk to special educators in school, they will say we have lack of resources. Yes, I'm not disagreeing. The more resources you have, the more successful you will be in your attempt to help children. But are you making maximum or optimum use of your available resources? Is my question. Are we really making use of everything that we already have? If we have a school, there are 4 pillars in every school. One is the management, one is the teachers, one is the students, and the fourth one are the parents. All these people together hold the school. So if we take the help of parents also, if we take the help of students also, if the special education teachers and the mainstream teachers work together, why can't we achieve something? So I'm giving you an example here. Earlier, when we started off, we didn't have so many special educators, but when the teacher had a child with special needs and she needed to give time to that child, this was about the primary section, a parent, but there are many parents we call to the school when the teacher is absent, or some of them come and help us as substitutes when we are involved in some project. So parents and teachers, schools relationship, they just like every home is an extension of the school. So every parent is part of the school. So if we have that relationship, this child with special needs, if the teacher has to give extra time to that child, she gives an activity in the class which everybody is doing, and there is a parent who comes there and supervises or minds the class. The children are busy doing their thing, but this teacher is able to give time even for this to this single child or 2 children or 3 children with whom she has to work. So these are small things that we can try. Second is the group work. When children are put to work in a group, they take care of each other, and they also include their child, their friend who has a difficulty. So we have to train children for peer group work. We have to do, sometimes we have to do team teaching. We have to learn from each other. When the teachers meet of every regularly, they can share their experiences and learn from each other. So that is a teamwork. So these are the ways in which the lack of resources, and we must use our existing resources and keep hoping for the best resources to come. I'm not saying don't hope for that. And one day that will also come. And the resources also depend on a lot on financial strengths, right? So when it is possible for the school to get it, the school will get it. But any school which believes in inclusive education and giving the facilities for that, then that school will try. Definitely the management will try to make that happen. Shall I continue, or are there any questions now?
If Kavita ji would like to add something to it.
Ma'am, I agree with you with all the points. You started off with a very positive note and involvement of parents, and I think it's going well so far. So
Okay.
please continue.
All
Yeah.
right. Thank you. Then I will continue. And the next one, what you are talking about, is the role of the special educator and the mainstream or the general teachers in the school. You will wonder why I'm calling that a challenge. I'll tell you what, there is when special educators come into the school, this was more in the beginning. Now it is like a little different. they are coming with an expectation that they will be able to use their expertise and knowledge and serve in the school. The mainstream teachers are coming to school with the expectation that their knowledge and their qualification and their expertise will be used in the school. So when the special educator is used in the school to be doing everything that the other teacher does, and she doesn't get time to do what she is really meant to do, then the job becomes very frustrating for them. I have heard that in many schools, just because the special educator is sitting there in her or resource room, she has to go and teach moral science, she has to go and teach craft, she has to go and teach drawing. That's not the way. Then, they don't get to do what they're supposed to be doing, and they are also looking for satisfaction in their work. Plus, what is our intention? Our intention is to get the special educators and the mainstream teachers collaborate for the sake of that child. Here again, the child is the important person. So the special education teachers and the mainstream teachers have to shed their egos. Sometimes they have to unlearn what they have learned. Sometimes they have to learn new things, and they have to be ready to collaborate with that positive mind, because both of them are working for that child. So this, to reach that, there is a balance has to be established. We as the leaders or the people in charge, we have to really be very clear about, when I take a special educators, what is her role, what are their roles, and what is the role of the mainstream teacher. There is a what in learning and there is a how in learning. When it comes to a general classroom, the teacher knows the what and they also know the how. But when it comes to children with special needs, they know the what, but the how is known to the teacher who is trained for teaching the special children. So learning, and I'm not saying that the general education teacher cannot learn what the a special education teacher, if she's interested, definitely she can learn. And the special education teacher also can learn everything that the mainstream teacher does. And in a mainstream school, if you have a special educator full time, if they are a part of your school, it makes a lot of difference, because they are not visiting teachers or they are not contract teachers who just come and go, but they are people who are part of the school family. When we go for a picnic, they are also there, and the children with special needs are also there. If there is a problem which a teacher can't handle, this teacher immediately comes to help. And many times I have seen these children who are used to their special educators, they spend a little more time with them. Even when they go out, they look out for those teachers. Though their class teacher is there and other teachers is there, if that teacher is there, they are much more happier. And when it comes to a annual day or a sports day or any kind of activity in the school, they are also involved and they are also part of the team. So I think this clarification of the role of the special educator and the mainstream teacher presents a challenge in the beginning, but slowly, once we try to get that collaboration happening, this problem gets solved. And there is a very common, parents, I've heard many parents saying they think that remedial teaching is tuition. मैं तो घर में ट्यूशन में भेजती हूँ ना, तो इधर क्यों आना है रेमेडियल टीचिंग के लिए? The concept of what is remedial teaching, what is IEP, and what is skill building. These are the things that special educators work on. No? When they are very small, if there is a reading difficulty, they work on reading skills, they work on spelling skills, they work on writing skills. For that, how do I get time? I can't call the children late in the evening to do that. I have to make them do during the class hours. So in the school timetable, we try to first the school timetable is made, and then that timetable is shared with the special educators, and they find slots where they can get these children coming to them for skill building work. And that is how during the school hours we manage. But the remedial teaching doesn't, of the content, that is the curriculum, doesn't happen really during the school hours. Then they'll have to be out of the class, isn't it? So that happens either before the school or after the school. For some time the parents bring them, and they are able to give the time for that. And remedial teaching is not done only by the special educators, it is also done by the mainstream teachers. Remedial teaching is not the work only of the special educators. So it depends how many children and what kind of children need that. Remedial teaching is, yes, Manobina?
I just want to add here something, because
Yes.
we are talking about special educators and general education teachers and their collaboration. And what just I was just thinking about the time when I was in Scotland, and I used to work with the autism unit of a mainstream secondary school. And I found there was no divide between a general education teacher or a special education teacher. Rather, I did not find any special education teacher as such there. Uh, all the teachers had secondary teaching qualifications. The school used to send them for short, rather very short certificate programs during a particular school year. Also, on the in-service days, many a time outside agencies or the other came to school to conduct workshops or seminars related to autism and special education. My question to you and Kavitaji is that, is it possible to adapt this kind of a system in our mainstream schools in India? At least in private schools, I think 40% of our school going population goes to private schools, if I'm not wrong. Ma'am?
Yes, I think the presence of the special educators in the school uh, can be used for doing some training for the mainstream teachers, because they are able to do that training. So if the mainstream uh, heads, the mainstream school heads, they make provision for the special education teachers to do training modules for the mainstream teachers, it is possible. I don't see it as an impossibility. And I was talking about remedial teaching. No, there is an academic remedial teaching and there is a skill building remedial, which are both important, and that is what the special educators do, and the mainstream teachers also participate in that. So if there is a child who is not able to understand the notes that all the other children learn, I have seen that if you modify those notes or simplify those notes, and there were some special educators who highlighted certain words in the notes, all those small things help the child. And we share this, if we share this with the parents about how these children can be taught, the parents also are able to understand. So this is how the collaboration between the special education teachers and the regular teachers can be uh, solved. The next challenge in implementation is the curriculum, making the curriculum flexible, accessible, and relevant to children. Now, this is not totally in the hands of the school, because we have boards, and the national curriculum framework where the issues of curriculum and pedagogy are actually recorded, they are trying to change something. We have seen that in the NEP document, and they are trying to change it into inclusive practices and also reduce the disparity between the different boards. And the national curriculum will do something in the central level. But in a country like ours, which is so large and so diverse, it becomes necessary for the state government to take responsibility and be accountable for implementing central policy. Unfortunately, there is too much of a gap in this. And, and this is a big challenge to combat with. Ideally speaking, curriculum should be skill based in the primary and work based in the secondary. Because if it is skill based in the primary, then you get ready for doing something after school, after you finish your school.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ma'am, I think Kavita ji is working on this skill-based curriculum.
Yes.
Aren't you,
I was.
Kavita ji?
Can you tell us what you're
Could
doing
you
on
please
this?
share your experiences with us, Kavita ji?
Uh, it is in the process. So right now it will be difficult to talk about it, but certainly we will go on to it at a later this episode or something like that, right? I
Yeah.
think it is part of NEP, and this is also related to what I have worked on Tech Ed for Autism. So my work is basically related to technology, and that will be part of the skill-based curriculum. I mean, that is what we have portrayed as. So there will be other skills also. So
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of the entire thing, so won't be ideal to talk about it right now.
But Kavita ji, I will come to you now since inclusive
Yeah,
education is more about equity,
yeah.
starting from accessibility to availability of various services and modifications. And of course, children need them all. My question to you is about implementational challenges. Vijaya ma'am was discussing about the challenges generally our mainstream schools face and the solutions. Could you please explain to us the implementational challenges you might have faced, uh, like as a mother or as a professional, please?
Okay, right. So thank you, Manobina, for inviting me for this particular show again. And ma'am has gone ahead with very positive note and looks like everything is possible. And as Sudesh ma'am said, the heart, head, and the hand, these are the things that we have to go in the sequence. So that is what we should do. Now, looking at the RPWD Act of 2016, and uh, where there was a mention of inclusive education, it's been 5 years, nothing happened, nothing much happened. A few people started, and Supreme Court had to come in the picture. Why so? Why is it so? It's a big question. So it is time that we all put our thoughts together and do actions. It's very important. And people like Vijay ma'am is already doing so. She can be a person who can train others, and we can all put things together and we can continue talking about it on a very serious note. This is not a pep talk. We are very serious about inclusion, and we will continue to do so. So here we are. According to me, challenges are many. Some of the challenges are explained by ma'am already. What I feel is, we have to include the civil society also in whatever we do. So the equal partnership, if we can do, between civil society, government schools, civil society, and private schools. That will be a wonderful thing. Other than that, we've been talking about, the teachers, the special education teachers. They should have uh, um, the basic eligible qualification should be changed, because when we are talking about inclusion, we are not talking about only the primary education, pre-primary and primary education, but we are talking about the middle and the high school education also. So right now, what I'm looking at, the RCI has got a lot of courses. One of the courses which is, which has got the eligibility only 10 plus 2. So the 10 plus 2 stands for a person who is just 18-year-old, and they are not even and this person has may have done psychology, may not have done psychology, but a basis is required when you do education to go ahead. So my take is like this, that when we do the changes in the curriculum, the training programs, we have to look into these things also, keeping inclusion in mind, enabling inclusion. Now, same is the case with the special education, the mainstream BEd. Ma'am already talked about that some people who are special educators can train the mainstream educators, which is fine. But the new trainees who are coming in, for them, it is important that they have a very special training program wherein there are more elements of psychology, more elements of methodology, the things like UDL, etc., universal design of learning, and multiple intelligence, handling them. And other than that, they should have more of the the practicals, and those practicals they should be able to do in the NGO setups where the special schools are being run, etc. Because somewhere we cannot deny, at present we cannot deny the importance of those schools also, because we are in the process of inclusive education. So that is what we have to do for to make things enable when it comes to the human resources development. Uh, Now, the next challenge, what I look at it, which we talked about it, the equity-based solutions. Now, we have some 21 disabilities uh, included in the RPWD Act. Now, these disabilities, we know most of those, right from the visual impairment to speech and hearing to cerebral palsy, locomotor disabilities, and we have autism, ADHD. We do have number of learning disabilities. We have acquired neurodiverse people, divergent students, uh, acid attack victims, which they come in the same category. So for each one of them, the equity based solution has to be thought about, and how that can be done is a matter of concern. Do people understand everything? Do the mainstream teachers understand these disabilities? So it is important that we work on these things also. Now, say for example, I will just cite a few. We all know that for visually impaired, we have the braille, we have braille books, we have braille enabled computers, we have lots of assistive devices, we have sound enabled systems which go across the schools. The lifts have all those things. And in a similar way, we have a lot of things for the hearing impaired, the signages, and a lot of things are written for them, and sign language interpreters are there. Computers can be used for them. For people like ASD, autism spectrum disorders, or autism, we do require different things. Ma'am talked about a class of 60. A class of 60 could be a very difficult situation for them, because we do talk about the behavior, but it is not behavior. These are the sensory overloads. So we have to create a system where we are talking about the accessibility with respect to autism. So a quiet classroom where the teachers are not wearing any perfumes and danglings, and the surfaces are nice and clear, no up and down things, and uneven surfaces, and we have to avoid the smells and a lot of other things. So that comes for the persons with autism. Now we have so many other things for persons with LD, where we talk about dyslexia, dyscalculia, and or we use computers, calculators. We have a lot of reading softwares. So these are all the equity-based solutions which we need to have in the system to make inclusion enabled. Like that, for persons with ADHD, we need to give them physical exercises to reduce their hyperactivity, etc. And there are many other things. They have problem in attention to detail, so perhaps a buddy can help. Now, when I say buddy, those people, those who have acquired neurodiversity, those people can be, those students can be used, can be asked, can be requested to become a buddy for such individuals. And they may require another equity based solution where their self esteem is hampered, so they may require some counseling, etc. So these are the solutions. If we can enable nothing like it, we can certainly do the inclusion. And we know about locomotor disabilities, so I would not like to go into that. But then there are things now related to that. When we look at the other challenge, which is the teacher and pupil ratio, it connects to the prevalence figures also. So I was just looking into the system, the Google, basically. It was talking about the percentage prevalence of learning disabled or the neurodivergent individuals is somewhere close to 10 to 15%. And for attention deficit hyperactive disorder, it is 11.32%. It was a study done in Coimbatore last year. So imagine a class which has got 60 individuals, who are who are studying the strength of 60. You may have 9 individuals with LD. You may have 9 to 10 with ADHD, and somewhere close to 1 or less than 1 ASD, autism spectrum disorder. Now, to solve this, how do we do it? We can have the shifts in the school. We can also have, if all the schools in the system are ready for inclusion, we don't have to worry about one school handling so many individuals. So, say for example, ma'am school, Father Agnel, if they are doing inclusion, they can help the schools in the vicinity to motivate them to give admission to such individuals, and our problem is solved. The thing is, we all have the fear of failure. What is fail? First attempt in learning, that's it. So let's not get into that. We fail, we go ahead, we develop other things, we follow something which did not happen, we take examples from our previous experiences. So nothing is impossible. We have to put things in action, and that is how we can go ahead. So to do all these things, I would like to suggest that if we can have a model school across India in all the districts, be it private and government, and create evidence-based practices, give out your results, and we can replicate the same models across India. Can we do that? I would love to have these things done. It is all possible because recently the government of Delhi has been talking about the mentorship program. They've been advertising it over the many channels, that become a mentor. So involve the civil society. You can do it. We have to do it on a very rigorous scale, I would say. And one thing which I believe in, that rewards and recognitions matter a lot. And we begin it from the panchayat level to the district level to whichever level you want. It cannot be one teacher in one nation. There are a number of teachers who are doing wonderful job, and they are not known. So let's begin that. In fact, I remember one school where my son was studying. There was every month there was a notification on various parts of the school that this month this bhaiya has done good work and he has been awarded for this exemplary work. Another month, another one, another month, another one. So these are all very small things, very, very small things, but they matter because you are including everybody in your task. And that inclusion, that reward, that recognition make them do wonders. They would love to do, because all of us work on operant conditioning. Am I right? If we are given award, we are happy to go ahead. हमें अच्छा लगता है यदि हमें कुछ अच्छा बोला जाता है. तो इस तरीके से हम लोग बहुत कुछ कर सकते हैं, हम चाहें तो, राइट. एंड इंक्लूजन बहुत अच्छी तरह से पॉसिबल है. समावेशी शिक्षा जिसको हम बोलते हैं, बस हमें डरना नहीं है, उस पर काम करना है. और कितने भी प्रयोग हो सके, जितने भी प्रयोग हम कर सकते हैं वो हमें इस्तेमाल करने हैं. और उन प्रयोगों को आप लिखते जाइए. और एक चीज और जो हम लोग बोलते हैं कि सरस्वती के भंडार की बड़ी अपूर्व बात, ज्यों खर्चे त्यों त्यों बढ़े, बिन खर्चे घट जात. उसका मतलब होता है सरस्वती यानी शिक्षा की जो भगवान है, वो हमें कहते हैं कि जितना आप अपनी नॉलेज को, अपने ज्ञान को जितना आप बांटेंगे उतना वो बढ़ता है. तो पेरेंट्स से, टीचर्स से, स्पेशल एजुकेटर्स से, पूरे सिस्टम से ये एक अपेक्षा है कि आप सब अपने ज्ञान को शेयर करें, साझा करें और सब एक साथ आगे बढ़ें, ताकि हम एक सुंदर सी हिस्से समाज का निर्माण कर सकें. सो ये मेरा तरीका है इंक्लूजन को देखने का. Thanks, Manobina.
Thank you. That was a very, very important point you made, Kavita, because appreciation, acknowledgement is the most important thing for an individual or a team or a school or for anyone. So if I'm sure in every community there is at least one person who believes in inclusive education, there is one school which is trying something, there is one government which is trying to do something. Maybe it may be a local panchayat or it may be a new municipality. But that recognition, to find them and make them those islands of excellence which can sort of help others. It's not, this is not a condescending kind of help. It is not that we are doing them something because we know and they don't know. It's not that. It is something that we are all trying to change together. So we hold hands. It is more of holding hands with each other and trying to uh, help each other to make the whole system change. And yes, it's sharing knowledge, and it grows. I truly believe in that, because the more you share, the more you learn. Because every time the teacher teaches a lesson in the class, the next time she teaches it again, she knows the lesson better. It's like that. So the more you give, the more you receive. And I think one thing we left out in the challenges is this examination and evaluation system. Manobina, I think you should be able to throw light on that. What the
No,
exam
ma'am.
is also a big challenge.
Of course, ma'am. And ma'am, if you would like to say, I think I'm. Yes, Kavita ji. Kavita ji, you
Yes.
have to unmute. Please unmute yourself, Kavita ji. Kavita ji, you are still mute. Kavita ji, we can't hear you. What happened? I think there is a connectivity issue. Yes, Vijaya ma'am, as you are saying, there are challenges for examination system, because as we say that, as Einstein said once, that you can judge a fish by his ability to climb a tree. So we really cannot judge a child's ability by kind of examination system which we now have in India, the existing examination system. If we have children of different abilities, I think the examination system should also be different for them. What is your opinion, ma'am? Ma'am, you have to unmute yourself.
Yes, it is very important to change the examination system. But as long as we are in this system, the change will take. We hope it will change eventually. But presently, in the present system also, I find that there are schools which they don't avail of the concessions and the accommodations that are given by the board,
Yeah,
because it is too much of a trouble. This is sort of absolutely unacceptable.
true.
If you are having that provision, you should be made as well avail of it. And if something is available in the 10th standard, why can't we start doing it even before that in the school? Because we should not consider all these as problems. They're actually things which enrich our whole system.
True.
If we are able to cater to the needs of the children, and if we are able to believe in equity and provide what they need, we are enriching the whole system. It is not a problem. Yes, it may be a little difficult. You might have to go a little out of the way, but the joy that comes from that, I wish they understood that. Because if you see a child struggling with the examination system that you have, and you make a slight modification, or if the board is ready to give one language instead of 3 languages, and you know that this child is going to get that concession in the 10th standard, why should we make that child do it in the 6th, 7th, and face that repeated failure and repeated frustration? We can start that, and we have done that actually. We have tried giving another subject like computer, basic computers or painting, drawing, etc., instead of the language. Because
Yeah.
SEC board says that you have to give a work experience subject instead of what you don't do. Okay,
Yeah.
so if their concession is for two languages, they get two other subjects to do, which are
Yes.
vocationally. Yes, Manobina.
Ma'am, there are a few questions, so let us just, since we are
Yes.
running out of time, let us
Mm,
just address the
yeah.
questions. Kavita
Yes.
would you like to help us with it? During this hard time and online classes, the differently able children are suffering the most. How do we include them in the mainstream?
Yes, I could answer that. Sonam is from a school in Leh, Ladakh. She is from Lambden School, and I am happy that many teachers from Lambden School, Leh, Ladakh, are participating in this discussion today, because I have visited this school some time back and made friends with all these teachers. They are very eager learners. So, Sonam, what we did was, uh, during the pandemic, the teachers made very beautiful lessons. They made videos, and though they did not have a classroom, they tried to reach out to the children through their well-made lessons. And the videos and all were so impressive and attractive to the children. So the special educators, they had classes using those same videos which the mainstream teachers made. They used it for their online class with these children, small group of children with special needs. That time, during that pandemic, the special education teachers also taught content. They became like mainstream teachers. So they did not do their usual skill building and all that at that time. They taught the lessons to the children, but they used their different techniques. And because the parents also attended the class with the children, the parents got to understand how the special educators were teaching the children. So that is how we solved the problem to some extent. But definitely, like, the pandemic has affected all kids, uh, and the special needs children. Definitely, they must have wondered what is happening. Like, why are we sitting inside the
Yeah.
school, the home?
Thank you very much, Vijay ma'am and Kavita ji, for this insightful session. Actually, we are running short of time, so I will have to conclude it. But before we go, Kavita ji, your concluding comments, concluding advice for us.
Okay, so to make inclusion happen या समावेशी शिक्षा को enable करने के लिए सक्षम बनाने के लिए हमें सभी को साथ में काम करना है, जिसमें कि सरकार को भी काम करना है, हमारे जो स्कूल्स हैं सभी को काम करना है, साथ में काम करना है। हमारे जो स्पेशल एजुकेटर्स हैं उनको जब आप बहाल कर रहे हैं तो उनको भी जो रेम्यूनरेशन आप देते हैं, उनकी जो सैलरी देते हैं, वो भी एट पार होनी चाहिए जो कि हमारे दूसरे टीचर्स की होती है, क्योंकि उन्हें भी अपने परिवार को देखना है। ठीक है, यदि आप उनसे कुछ अच्छा काम कराना चाहते हैं तो उन्हें अच्छी तरह से पे करिए। दूसरा ये, आप यदि हमारी जो सरकार है हमारे करिकुलम्स को, जो कोर्सेस हैं, इन सब को यूनिवर्सलाइजेशन कर दें, हमारे विद इन इंडिया यदि सब एक सा कर दें, सारे स्टेट्स में एक तरीके से रन हो तो बहुत अच्छा होगा। एक और जो थॉट मेरे दिमाग में आती है हमेशा कि कम से कम 10वीं तक, क्लास 10 तक हमारे पास एक ही करिकुलम हो, इंस्टेड ऑफ CBSE, SSSC, IGSC, IGCSE, IB etc. हम पूरा एक करिकुलम रखें तो सभी को पढ़ाने में, कंटेंट डेवलप करने में, बुक्स का इस्तेमाल करने में बहुत आसानी होगी। 10th के बाद आपको जो स्ट्रीम में जाना है उसमें आप जाइए और एक्सेल करिए। तो ये मेरा एक एक रिक्वेस्ट है। अब वो कितना हमारे नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी के तहत आता है वो हमें देखना है। यदि हो सके तो बहुत अच्छा होगा। तो ये मैं चाहूँगी। धन्यवाद। थैंक यू।
Thank you very much, Kavita ji. Actually, inclusive education and the associated consideration of the diverse needs of students from different social, economic, and cultural backgrounds, and of course, different talents and abilities are a worldwide challenge. So maybe in the new year, we will invite a few experts from other countries to so that we can exchange our ideas to work on this path of inclusion. Vijaya ma'am, your concluding comments, please.
My concluding comment is, I think whatever you are trying, even if it is small, you must have a research-based approach where you are quantitatively and qualitatively evaluating what you're doing and then come out with the next plan. And I wish this is done at the government level also, because without a research based approach of quantitatively and qualitatively assessing what is happening, you can't plan the next step. And I think that is the reason why we are not making progress.
True.
Yes.
Yes.
And inclusion is a very, very humane journey, and it is going to take us to big successes only through small steps. So don't avoid taking those small steps. And each one of us who is involved in this journey, you must become a spokesman or a spokeswoman who will talk and talk and talk inclusion. You have to be talking to people, you have to be communicating with people, and never give up on this.
Ma'am, there are actually a few more questions, but since we are running out of time, I would like to request both of you to read the comment section and, if possible, answer the questions. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Vijaya ma'am and Kavita ji. We will meet again soon on this platform, because I think social media is such a platform through which we can reach to a considerable part of the society. And it is absolutely essential to create awareness about inclusive education, isn't it?
Thank you, Manobina.
Thank
And
you very much once again, both of you.
thank you for
And
Thank
sharing.
you. Thank you.
And I have an announcement for our viewers. I'm absolutely thrilled to let you know that a very renowned academician of the country, Professor Marma Mukhopadhyay, will be our guest next week on the 36th episode of Let's Talk Inclusion. See you next week. Till then, thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
ma'am. Bye.